Hello and welcome to the podcast We Are Selling. My name's Lee Woodward, appearing on behalf of Realtair. Realtair is the platform of choice that allows you to pitch, sign and sell real estate. Today's podcast features Mr. Rik Rushton. Rik is known as the communication coach and is also the best-selling author of The Power of Connection. Today's interview with Rik is in the area of influence. And I've chosen this particular tip today as during the last complete salesperson course that was at the Hunter Valley. It was amazing how many agents were reaching out and saying the owner just won't listen to me on price. They won't take anything in that I'm saying. What do I do? What do I say? And this is a real frustration and a real tip for the current active market we are all in. Today's tip is so powerful and a great example of training on demand. And one thing I love about hosting this particular podcast is we can bring you the greatest speakers and guests in the world. Let's jump into my Zoom recording with Rik Rushton. Today we have a very, very special guest. Mr. Rik Rushton is joining us, the very famous author, real estate sales trainer extraordinaire. Rik, welcome to the program.
Well, I'm going to have you travel around with me everywhere, Lee, and introduce me for every gig I do. That was by far the best introduction I've had in this year of 23, mate. Thanks for the opportunity.
Now, Rik, tell us about your book. A lot of our people need to buy it, need to read it, or it's on Audible, you lucky bugger. I'm looking forward to doing one of those one day, but take us into it.
Oh, I think that, for me, Lee, the Audible version of it was really interesting to do because like you, I love communicating. And I love communicating with people, but it was interesting to sort of record the words that I'd written and be asked to slow down and to really almost become disingenuous. I didn't really enjoy the process, if I'm being completely honest with you. But the good news was that the recording was me just recollecting what I actually wrote, and they'd actually say, "Stop! Can you get it word for word? If only we could be in touch with the author. Actually, that's you, Rik. Can you actually say the words word for word?" But like you, Lee, I love communicating. I get that we are not, successful hermits in real estate. We need to work and collaborate with others. And you and I can get along very well because we're similar valued, similarly love what we do, and we just love sharing information. But how do you work with people who are just not getting it? The market's spoken. They're not going to get $1 million. It's not going to happen. And so I could find I could have communication with vendors who were like me, but I was struggling with those that were opposite to me. So the premise of the book is to simply tune into who you're speaking with first and foremost before you broadcast anything and make sure that they're in alignment with you. And I think that comes from really good question-based, not statement-based. There's no point describing the horror of the market. We've got to show them the solution around how we can still help them move, even though the numbers probably don't align with what they were hoping for when they started.
So, Rik, let's go into a scenario there. You've got an owner. Week 1, they love you, but they're very suspicious of any early offers. Week 2, they're just checking out the sites and making everything's good. Weeks 3, they're starting to get a little bit anxious, and this is why auctions are held on the 4th week. They're expecting that offer. The offer doesn't come through. In weeks 5 and 6, they think they're with the wrong agent, and they're now starting to look round. They've opened the agent's agreement 6 times, and you've been notified. You start to think, how do I pull this back together? Real estate's real estate, but we're talking about human influence here. What would be your tips to fall back in love with the owner, that original night and decision when we're all so excited and we're going to go and do this incredible sale and then suddenly it's gone south? What would your approach be?
Well, I think I'd remind them about what prompted this coming to the market in the first place. What were they trying to achieve 4 or 5 weeks ago when they first had the conversation with you? And what was it about that we loved as agents? And what was it about that they wanted to aspire to as sellers? Let's get back in touch with the real motivation for why they were doing this, and then give them the responsibility of updating where the market is in relation to that goal that they've got. And I think we've all got that responsibility, but we don't take accountability, Lee. That's the difference. So accountability says, I'm going to describe where the campaign is at. 5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we were estimating, we were theorizing, we were guessing. We're not guessing anymore. The numbers are very clear now. If we hold out for that price, we are going to make one group happy only in this market, and that's all of your competing vendors trying to sell, because you're making their home look great. I don't come into the office every day to try and help my competitors sell their vendors' homes. I want yours to be with a sold through the market on it. So We need to improve the price, and I've got accountability to that as well. So when you hired me, you learn everything we learn from every buyer through. That's my responsibility to communicate that to you. But I've also got the accountability to make some recommendations about what we need to do. Like a medical practitioner, we've run some tests, we've got the results. This is the prescribed course of action moving forward to get you into better health. We need that same course, same feeling, same action to get you to a better place with your price to make sure you're through the market. So I would, in summary, Lee, touch base with what was it that remind me again, what started this selling process? Well, we're trying to get to our, daughter and son-in-law. They're about to have their first child and they're on the Central Coast and, we want to get to Terrigal. Okay. When do you want to get there? When your grandchild is born or when they're starting preschool? Because that's what can happen if you don't get this price right. I've got responsibility to tell you what the market's doing, but I've got accountability to show you the way home. So let's keep thinking about responsibility, Lee, and accountability.
What a brilliant answer to review that original story. You could even pipe in them with the milestones. So, that was the original reason why you want to move, and you do that beautiful segment you just did then. We then moved on and did all our brilliant marketing, the wonderful photography, floor plans, everything's done, and we both agreed that it looks amazing. We've used the portals and gone international. Anyone registered for a home in this area at this price has been notified. And I love the words, we need to improve the price. Not reduce. Improve is such a powerful movement word. And remember, we're all in this together. And I think sometimes as the agents, we get cranky and then our body language is changing. And I'll never forget, Rick, as an agent, you would see an agent have to go out and speak to the owner about reducing the price. And before going out, you go, where are you going? Up to Redmond Road. Okay. What's it going to be? It doesn't matter. I don't care if they don't want to reduce it. It's not that good anyway. I'm just going to let it go. Okay. And they go in and say to the owner, we need to reduce it. And the owner goes, yep, okay, let's do it. And they walk out going, this is the best listing I've got. Suddenly you go from one extreme to the other. No, it's no good as that. But suddenly it's reduced 50K and it's like the best thing on the market. Price equals time.
I think so. And I think it's interesting that we are all energy givers or receivers and we need to get inspired sometimes. I'd still rather take on a listing that's been on the market for a few weeks with an improved price quote or an expectation that, they're going to set an improved reserve than a new one today with hope and optimism that might be slightly off. I'd rather still have that sort of opportunity. But I think the most important thing with all of that is you just put the cook in the kitchen, give them all the ingredients and let them bake. I've been very much a question-based, and you've taught me a lot of this over the journey too, Lee, about making sure you really just ask great questions so you'll know what to say from their answers if you really need to direct them in any direction. But, the whole premise of what I do is, just remind me again why you're selling. So when would we like to get there, when they're actually born or when they're starting preschool? I mean, you probably wouldn't say that, but that's the thought you want to plant into their head. But I think the most important question you can be asking a vendor at the moment is, do you think your home's going to be worth more now or post 30 June when a lot of fixed mortgage rates come off and have to start paying current, market rate for their mortgages? The industry is projecting an oversupply of property. Do you think you're going to compete better or, maybe worse? When would be the best time for you to get this right? I think it's now. And I agree with you that words change worlds. I need you to drop the price. They feel like they're giving a cash check to the buyer of 50 grand. If we say to them, look, we need you to improve the price so that we can get you at least under the nose of buyers, because we know buyers are following houses, not estate agents. I mean, every buyer's got their prerequisites in every portal. And they're saying, I want so many bedrooms, I want so many features and benefits, so much land in this postcode. They don't say, and by the way, we'll only look through this agency and that agency. No, they don't care who's got it. If what they are looking for is with agent A, B, C, or D, they're going to A, B, C, or D. They're going to do that. I think that we probably don't feel like we can put the cook in the kitchen, but just ask them, what do you think that Reserve Bank decision this last week means for you as a seller going forward? What do you think is going to be the likelihood of there being more competition for your property next month than there was this month if we don't do anything? Just ask questions and see where their answers take you.
I think also, Rick, we come into a time that we've got to modify the wording so it's not the classic owner and buyer. The buyer's not going to pay this, the buyer's expecting that. And another good word for buyers, and I love what you just said, that, people are watching the home, not the agent. They don't care which agent's got it. They're tracking properties. So, I want to buy a property in Brunswick Heads. It doesn't have any effect on me which brand's got it. I'm just after the dwelling. And I think you can say to an owner now, your property's building up quite a few followers. They're following the property. And when it first hit the internet, you had a lot of followers versus internet hits or old words of yesterday. So you got some followers, but those followers have dropped off when it didn't have exactly what they wanted. What do you mean? My house is amazing. Your home is amazing. It's probably one of the best presented homes that we have on the market. But when we look at the volume, what do you mean volume? Other homes at similar prices do have that rumpus room, and to build that rumpus room would be that difference in price. But yours is one of the best presented homes on the market. Suddenly they're starting to understand the wording around this. And then I would love realestate.com.au if you are listening right now, and I hope you are, big billboards all over the country with one message. The longer your property is on the market, the less the purchasing community expect to pay. Because a lot of owners have that thought of, I'm in no hurry, and we know the longer it's on the market, the less people expect to pay. But the owner may not know that, and that could be another great influence or communication for our agents back to their owners considering selling.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And we've got so many resources to use to make us more resourceful in this day and age. We've got eyeballs online looking, but they're not transferring to footsteps through the front door. Why do you think that is? We're getting, a number of, great KPIs, if you want to call them that, to review each week. Have a look at this one here. Look how many buyers are saving your property. What do you think they're waiting for? Oh, they probably want me to drop the price. Well, I think if we improve the price, if only 10% of them were still looking, there's another 6 followers we can get through your property, to use your terminology. I love that terminology about followers. I think the limits of our language is the limits of our career. So if we can find new ways to sell old fundamentals, and again, the reason for writing the book, which by the way, Lee, as you know, I think you interviewed me when it first came out up at ARIC from your booth, but it still surprises my HSC English teacher from 1984 that I actually wrote one more book than I read in high school. But anyway, it's all geared towards how can you, express yourself authentically, stay authentically you, but influence multiple personality types around sometimes some very tricky subjects like their asking price of their property, their expectations on price. These are very emotive topics for a lot of sellers. So if we can get it right, it's amazing. You don't have to be that good to be that good in this business, I don't think, Lee. You've just got to be able to have the conversations and make sure you're leading everyone to the end result. Yeah,
couldn't agree more there. Getting to the truth is really what that is. And I think in vendor management, if you can get that skill right, your advocates grow. Your best listing stream should be from doing the great job that you have done. But Rik Rushton, absolutely amazing to have you back on the program. I want to thank you for joining us. Congratulations with the book, the audio book, and we'd love to have you appear back in the future.
All you need to do is ask, my friend. Thank you so much.
And that concludes another program. For those of you coming to the live event, the Complete Salesperson course, I will see you there. It is now touring around the country. And for anyone wishing to get started on the Realtair Pitch, Sign or Sell platform, go to realtair.com. Thank you for listening. See you next week.